See No Evil's Inferno Whiskey. One shot and your soul's negotiable. They say you can't stare into the flames without getting burned. With See No Evil's Inferno Whiskey, you ain't just staring, you're drinking the fire itself. Distilled in shadows, bottled in darkness, and guaranteed to make you see things you can't unsee. Features: Hellfire blend, smoky, molten taste, with notes of charred oak and vengeance. Eternal burn warms your throat longer than a priest's sermon. Cursed seal bottle. Once opened, you might never close it again. Nick Palermo. I took one shot, woke up 3 days later singing Sinatra backwards. Mikey the Hammer. Burns worse than an unpaid debt, but damn, it hits good. Lopez. Pretty sure this violates every liquor law in the book, but who's complaining? Special offer. Buy a bottle today, and you'll get the Skull Shot Glass TM. It glows red when the whiskey's poured, just like his eyes. See No Evil's Inferno Whiskey. Drink the fire, embrace the darkness.
Mugs, what the fuck you doing in there, you prick?
Tales from the Pizzaverse, the Coney Island Ghost Hunt, Sessa and Don Micu's Long Night. Brooklyn, late October, air with teeth. The back room's the usual, heavy smoke, Sinatra breathing through a busted speaker, a crooked lamp that looks like it knows too much. The phone rings, the old rotary that only calls when the past wants a piece. Bambi answers with 2 fingers and no patience. She listens, she squints. She hangs up like she just slapped the dial tone. Coney Island screaming again, she says. Not 1 ghost, 7. They're calling it a curse. We're gonna shut it up. Everyone's there. Impeach cracks open a Pelican case full of Navy junk and confidence. Aaron's got his laptop glowing like a confession booth. Lopez is field stripping his Glock with the serenity of a nun sharpening a knife. The Endu's holding a bat like a quiet promise. Sun-grown's turning the room into a cloud you could swim through. See No Evil's laying out a betting sheet like a bookie with no God. Tommy Stiggs is already sweating prayers. Willie's got a beer open and a second one, thinking about its future. Marta's arms crossed, eyes doing math on how stupid this'll get. Sessa shows up with powdered sugar all over his black hoodie, holding a bag of Zeppels like it's holy relics. In the corner, Don Micu, fedora shadow, rosary threading his knuckles, watches the room the way the ocean watches the shore, already owning it. Bambi says, we roll in 10. Sessa says, I'm driving. Everyone says, no you ain't. Don Micu says, figli miei, my children, ghosts are only dangerous when they're ignored or disrespected. You do both, they collect. Good, man, Bambi says, we'll collect first. The van's a coffin with wheels and a heater that coughs. We pack in like smokes in a crushed soft pack and rattle down the BQE. Sessa calls window. Willie tells him the only thing he's called is diabetes. See No Evil starts a pool. 2-to-1 odds, Stiggs screams first. Stiggs responds by crossing himself the wrong way. Sun-grown blows smoke rings big enough to toss around your neck. Impeach wires his contraption to a car battery and a thermos of espresso. Aaron mumbles about literal specters, which is either science or a deli order. Lopez stares out at the black water. You can see the Marine in him counting exits in the waves. Don Micu sits quiet, muttering Italian you feel more than hear. Bambi drives, shoulders loose, eyes hard, Brooklyn in her knuckles. Stillwell Avenue looks like a postcard mailed by a ghost. The boardwalk's empty, neon coughing along the storefronts, Ferris wheel throwing a halo on the dark Atlantic. The ocean ain't lapping tonight, it's knocking. Open up, I know you're in there. Impeach's gizmo lights angry green. Spectral turbulence, he says like we ordered it. The first sound crawls out from under the planks. Cards flicking, Bones thinking about their old addresses, and then a scream like a busted radio tuned to regret. The bookie's there, suit shiny with years, pockets full of markers that were never honored. He says, "You boys took my knees. The ocean took my breath. Brooklyn took my luck." And every word rattles, screws loose in the pier. Lopez, all stone, steps forward. He don't draw the gun, he draws the badge. "You were failed by cowards, not the city," he says, voice dry as chalk. He sets the shield on the rickety card table. "Consider this your closeout. Ledger zeroed." The bookie looks at the badge like it's Sunday light. The chips crumble to sand. His mouth opens to scream and only air comes out, the kind that says thank you. He fades into a draft, and the table sags like it's tired of hosting the dead. "Count it," See No Evil says, pen scratching. "One scream down." We push along the pier, boards singing old splinters into our shoes, until the sea stacks rise like sleeping beasts. The diver waits in antique brass, helmet windows fogged with a century of drown. He points to the abyss, and to us, and back to the abyss again, like the equation equals you did this. Impeach salutes like a sailor who remembers why he loved the water before it stole his friends. He flips a toggle. The contraption hums low, a ship's horn lost in a bottle. "You stand relieved, sailor," he says, and the diver nods, unfastens his own helmet. There's no face, just sea, then collapses into a rain that never falls. Sessa, mouth busy, goes, "Okay, but do ghosts got gluten allergies?" "Shut up, Anthony," says half the group in 6 accents. We pass the cyclone, ribs creaking like a dinosaur dream. On the first drop, there's a bride, veil stuck on a rivet, bouquet of dead carnations pinned to the storm. She loops that first scream forever, the one you do when the limo never shows, or worse, when the groom shows with a mistake in his eyes. Marta steps onto the platform, heels defying physics. "Listen, Bambolina," she says into the wind, "you ain't the first to get lied to, and you ain't the last, but you can be the last to keep paying for it." She rips the veil free with a cranky flourish and chucks it into the Atlantic like a bill. The bride blurs, laughs once, thin and grateful, and the coaster stops creaking. Sessa tries to wave a zeppel at where the ghost was. "Should I?" Don Micu taps the back of his head with 2 fingers. "Offer flowers to the dead, not sugar, ragazzo." Sessa nods contrite and eats the zeppel himself. "I'm grieving," he says through powdered contrition. We cut through the closed midway, where prize shelves hold dust and envy. The barker waits under a canvas mouth with teeth painted on it. His straw boater's damp with other people's bad choices. "Step right up," he howls, voice made of splinters and empty pockets. "See your regrets eat you alive." Willie raises his beer in an almost salute. "Buddy, my regrets already ate me and tipped 20%. The barker's jaw unhinges too wide, spilling the 5th scream into the sky. Lopez slaps a closed sign on the ticket hole with the finality of a judge. Bambi grabs the edge of the canvas and tears it down. The wind catches it like a ragged sail, and the barker shrinks into sawdust that smells like wet carnival. We hit the funhouse and the mirrors grin back, showing versions we recognize a little too easy. Rich and greasy, lonely and clean, dead and framed like art. 2 twins in sequins giggle from everywhere at once. "Pick a door, pick your poison," they chant in tight harmony that makes your teeth itch. Aaron, eyes darting, breath fogging, holds his palm an inch off the glass. One mirror breathes toward his hand. "Exits breathe," he says, tone scientific and vaguely haunted. The Endu, who treats words like bullets, precious and few, says "move," then splits a mirror with the bat. Corridors shift. The twins shriek, throw confetti like it's bullets, and vanish through a seam that apologizes as it closes. We come out a side door that didn't exist when we went in, because Coney Island makes time where a clown knows. Now the ocean, now the undertow. It's a hand the size of a debt, fingers made of curl, knuckles of foam, dragging everything out toward old grudges. Bambi steps so close the spray hangs diamonds on her lashes. "We all lost somebody to you," she says calm, like she's calling a bluff. "Not tonight."
Sessa's Philly Streetlight Hair Gel. Shine brighter than your rap sheet. Tired of your hair falling flat halfway through a scam? Want to blind the competition before you even say, yo? Introducing Sessa's Philly Streetlight Hair Gel, the only gel strong enough to keep you slick while you're ducking indictments. Features: unbreakable hold, keeps your style tight through wind, rain, and federal raids. Blinding shine, reflects light so hard pigeons mistake your head for a street lamp. Philly Tough formula, infused with cheesesteak grease and Septa fumes for that authentic neighborhood finish. Nick Palermo. I used it once, and 3 dames followed me home thinking I was Sinatra. Mikey the Hammer. I couldn't even swing my hammer at him. I was blinded by the shine. Lopez. Confiscated a jar during a raid. Jury's still out if it's hair gel or construction adhesive. Special offer. Buy 1 tub today and Sessa throws in a free witness protection comb. Makes you look like a new man in seconds. Sessa's Philly Streetlight Hair Gel. Look sharp. Stay shady.
She flicks her cigarette, a red dot arcing, and that enormous hand reaches for it with infant curiosity. Impeach reverses a polarity he invented 5 minutes ago, machine keening. The Endu jams the bat into the wet sand like staking a vampire's lung. Lopez ties a length of rope to a piling and his waist as if he plans to anchor the burrow alone if he has to. Sun-grown blows smoke rings that stack like halo donuts and mutters, "Breathe, big fella." Don Micu kneels and taps the tide 3 times with the rosary cross. "L'acqua prende," he says, voice river-old. The water takes, then he touches his own chest. "Malanima resta," but the soul remains. The undertow wails the 6th scream, a freight train through your ribs, then falls flat like a boxer who learned mercy too late. 6 down, 1 left. The scream you don't name and because it's the one that knows your address. Under the boardwalk stairs, there's a subway entrance that never existed. Sign says King's Line in enamel that looks expensive and a little sad. We go down, tile cold, air heavy. Platform labeled Gravesend Ave, but the letters keep remembering other names and changing back shy. A train ghosts in on quiet steel, the kind with wood seats polished by 1,000 asses in ads that tell you doctors smoke Luckies. We get on because that's what you do when the past offers a ride and you've been pretending you were ready. Passengers across from us ain't people so much as alibis in hats. Every blink ages them 30 years, then spins them back to brats with sticky fingers. One looks like me if I'd kept a promise I didn't. Another looks like Lopez if he'd said no to the bureau when it needed a lie. The conductor appears in the aisle. Long coat, eyes like burnt coffee, mouth stitched shut with transit wire. He taps a ticket punch against the pole in a rhythm that forgets itself. He points. Me, Willie, Stiggs, Sungrown, each of us in turn, then stops at Bambi like the point broke. Bambi steps, not closer or farther, true is the word, pulls a steel flask, unscrews it slow, and pours a neat red line of Chianti along the car floor. "For the ones we couldn't bring back," she says, and the train lights hiccup like they tasted a memory. One by one, we added up. Lopez lays his spare cuffs, open. The Yendu sets the bat down parallel to the wine. Impeach unscrews a brass button off that navy coat he keeps as proof he was better once. Aaron tears out the first page of a notebook, the hypothesis that started him down this rabbit hole, and lets it go. Sungrown breaks a joint clean in half, nods to ghosts only he can see. See No Evil drops a thick rubber-banded roll and doesn't take it back. Stiggs mutters a prayer so filthy and faithful it might actually work. Willie puts a full beer under the bench and backs away like it's a grave with his name on it. Marta takes that white flower she didn't admit she kept and sets it on the Kiani Trail. Sessa, hesitating, because maybe it's dumb, maybe it's holy, places his last zeppel on the seat and whispers, "For anyone who died hungry." Don Micu, old bones, new war, kisses his rosary, lays it across the wine and says, "Perdona a noi, forgive us, come noi perdoniamo, as we forgive." The sewn-shut mouth of the conductor twitches, like a joke dying in the cradle, and the stitches fall in a neat pile of wire on the floor. He smiles, not creepy, human, taps his punch to the window. The tunnel outside shows a station tile shifting like fish scales until the letters resolve into one word: home. Doors open. There's no platform, just a draft that smells like wood polish and pepperoni and the neck of someone who loves you when you're a problem. We step through and hit the boardwalk like we just woke from winter. Coney's still ruined, still holy, but the noise is gone, replaced with a tired peace that feels like a blanket pulled to your chin. Back at the van, there's a message fingered in cigar ash on the windshield, handwriting like a punch. "See you next Halloween. Bring better booze. AC." Willie laughs like a drain. Lopez pockets the ash note like evidence they'll never file. Sessa says he's going to bake fig cookies next time because ghosts are Mediterranean too. Don Micu smirks like a saint with priors. We roll home. The club's warm again. Glasses clink, chairs scrape. Arguments spark like struck matches and burn out before they matter. Impeach logs the night in a little notebook he'll deny owning. Aaron's smile looks like he learned something that doesn't need peer review. Stig says he's never doing Halloween again and books next year in the same breath. See No Evil starts a new pool on whether Capone drinks grappa or rye. Sungrown says the vibes are immaculate and orders garlic knots for the table. Willie claims the sea tried to hire him, but the benefits were trash. Marta makes 2 plates, one for now and one for someone who ain't here, and doesn't explain. The Endu cleans the bat with a bar rag like the ritual it is. Bambi stands chin high, glass up. Ghosts, gangsters, government, givones. Whoever knocks, we open, we look 'em in the eye, and we send 'em home one way or another. This is Brooklyn. This is the Pizzaverse. We don't blink. And me, I believe her. Because that's what you do when the dead leave you a napkin note and the living pour wine for the ones who didn't make it. You believe or you rust. The night runs long. Stories stack like plates. Don Micu tells one about a Calabrian funeral where the widow laughed. Says laughter is the only thing the dead can't steal because they gotta earn it. Sessa falls asleep in his chair, powdered sugar like snow on a busted city. Lopez loosens his shoulders all the way, which is his version of singing. Aaron lets the laptop die. Impeach polishes brass. Willie toasts the empty doorway, just in case. Stiggs loses a card game he ain't playing. Sungrown draws a blessing so lazy it sneaks right into your ribs. Marta looks at Bambi like the answer to a question that ain't safe to ask. The Endu just nods once, like the ocean when it decides to spare you. Somewhere far out, a buoy clacks. The wind changes. Coney Island folds itself up for sleep. Brooklyn exhales. And if you listened hard, past the radiator hiss, past the old jukebox wheeze, past Willie's bad jokes, you might have heard a train you'll never ride blow one soft horn for the ones we kept and the ones we couldn't. That's the night. That's our night. Moral of the story: ghosts ain't only dead guys in bad suits. Ghosts are the tabs you never paid, the promises you skipped, the names you won't say out loud. You don't beat them with bullets. You beat them with respect, courage, and showing the Vermont up him. You face the bill, pour the wine, forgive the piece of yourself that keeps haunting you, and then you walk back into the cold with your crew. In Brooklyn and in the Pizzaverse, loyalty is louder than fear. We don't scare easy. We handle business. We send the dead home. If this long, smoky ride hit you like a shot of grappa, do the smart thing. Subscribe to Bambi and the Pizzaverse. Pull a chair, light a stogie, drop a comment that reads like a calling card. We got more sit-downs, more screwballs, more ghost notes and gravy boats. Around here, the stories ain't bedtime. They're war stories with love, laughs, and second chances. Capisci? Now pour one, say a prayer for the stubborn dead, and stick with us. 'Cause in the Pizzaverse, we don't fucking miss.